Hello and welcome to the techniques video for the Fisherman's Rib for the Brownie Knits 2015 Block Blanket Along. I'm your host Gina, aka Brownie Knits. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry Craftsy, and also on the YouTube channel Brownie Knits, all one word, and on BrownieKnits.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the Fisherman's Rib for Block 8, which you can see here. And we have our top and bottom and sides that are in garter stitch like normal. The Fisherman's Rib is really nice because it's a pretty simple repeat, one row repeat, and it pops up these knit stitches in the center. It's a very squishy and cozy stitch, and because it's rib, it does have a lot of stretch to it and bounces back very nice. So now we're going to actually show the knit one in the row below pattern for the row. I did put on this swatch that you're seeing here 4 knit stitches at the beginning and end of the rows just to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to knit 4 stitches and then we're going to start our pattern. And our pattern repeat is knit 1 stitch, knit the next stitch in the row below. Alright, so I just knitted 1 stitch and now I'm ready to knit the stitch in the row below the next active stitch. This is our active stitch sitting on the needle, and see that purl bump right below it. There's a hole right below that purl bump, and that's where you're going to stick your needle in like you're going to knit it. Go in, wrap it knitwise, come through, and drop all of that work off the needle. Alright, so we're ready to go again. Knit 1 in the row below the next active stitch. And again, see your purl bump, it's the hole right below the purl bump of your active stitch. You do not want to go too far down. So you don't want to go the 2 rows down, just 1. You go in, wrap it knitwise, come through and drop it off. Knit 1 stitch in the row below. Knit 1 and knit 1 stitch in the row below. Now I'm going to show you holding the yarn in my right hand. So you knit 1 and then you're going to knit 1 stitch in the row below. And the hole opens up nicely right below that purl bump below your active stitch. You wrap it knitwise, come through and drop off. Knit a stitch and then knit the next one in the row below. Wrap it knitwise, come through, drop off. And you just keep repeating this action. Now, there are a couple things that you'll want to remember when you're knitting the Fisherman's Rib. One is that it takes a little while for it to look like how your Fisherman's Rib looks in your block. So after just doing a few rows, it doesn't really start to pop out yet like you do in your center of your block. But as you go on, after you get 2 or 3 more inches done, it's going to start to look like that center of your block. So don't panic right away if it doesn't recede and pop those up just yet. It just takes a little while. The other thing to think about when you're doing this is that when you're knitting, when you're doing your knit 1, you're always going to be doing it on the stitch where on the previous row it was a knit 1 in the row below. So you see that float hanging there? That means on the previous row we did a knit 1 in the row below on that. So on this row it's now going to be a knit stitch. Alright, so we're going to knit that one. Our next stitch is one that we knit on the previous row, so it just shows on the back side here with the purl bump. And that means on this row we're going to knit 1 in the row below. So we knit it in the row below, and then we're going to knit the next stitch, knit 1 in the row below, and just again, keep in mind that when you come to the stitches that have the floats, that means on the row that you're working, it's going to be a knit stitch. And the next stitch was a knit stitch on the previous row, so on this one, you knit in the row below. You just keep repeating these 2 stitches until you get over to your border. So there you go. It's very simple. It's a 1 row repeat. Just follow along with the instructions in the block pattern and you'll end up with this nice squishy Fisherman's Rib block that can be part of your blanket. And again, I just love it because of how it pops up those knit stitches. And the other nice thing about the Fisherman's rib is that it is 100% reversible when you do it with garter as your edging stitches. So I hope that you enjoy knitting this block and the rest of the Brownie Knits 2015 block blanket along. And until I talk to you again, happy knitting and crocheting. Bye-bye.